Defeated Earth lay in ruins as a merciless alien empire celebrated its victory. But in the darkest silence, hope stirred, a secret fleet awakened, led by a fearless captain whose unwavering resolve ignited rebellion. Now, against overwhelming odds, shattered souls rise to reclaim destiny and forge a future reborn from the ashes of tyranny. A new era of bold defiance is born. Our uprising begins now. The Earth, once a beacon of boundless promise and endless blue horizons, now bore the scars of a relentless war. The surface had transformed into a tapestry of ruins and silent echoes, where once bustling cities were reduced to haunting remnants of their former glory. Above the devastation, a clandestine orbital base floated, a hidden citadel of human resolve, shielded from prying eyes and the harsh remnants of a shattered past. Within the cold, metallic corridors of the base, Captain Elena Mercer moved with purposeful strides. Her presence commanded the space, a blend of quiet strength and unyielding determination. Every step along the worn, echoing passageways resonated with the unspoken stories of loss, valor, and sacrifice. The soft hum of the base's machinery underscored a daily battle against despair, a constant reminder that hope could still be nurtured amidst desolation. At a secluded control station, the glow of a holographic display bathed her features in shifting light. It showcased faint, mysterious signals along the periphery of their known space, subtle anomalies that whispered of possibilities beyond the immediate ruins. A voice, measured and concerned, cut through the ambient drone. "Captain, our systems are stable, but there's an unusual fluctuation on the outer radar. It might be a fragment of old data, or it could be something more." In that brief exchange, a torrent of memories surged through Elena, memories of lost kin, of a time when laughter filled the air, and of battles fought in the name of survival. Each recollection was a testament to the resilience that had driven her forward through the darkest nights. The enemy, confident in their victory, had underestimated the indomitable spirit of those left behind. Their complacency was a mistake, one that the remnants of humanity were determined to exploit. As she resumed her patrol, the interplay of light and shadow along the corridors created a silent ballet of hope and sorrow. Every flicker, every transient gleam, seemed to echo the promise of a new beginning, a defiant spark amid the cold ashes of defeat. In these somber halls, Captain Mercer not only guarded the legacy of a fallen world but also kindled the first embers of a resurgence. Each measured step was a pledge, a vow that the human spirit, though battered, would rise again to reclaim its place among the stars. The ruined landscapes of Earth whispered secrets of a past too painful to forget. In dimly lit rooms deep within hidden sanctuaries, old holographic newsreels flickered to life, recounting the brutal days when the skies burned and hope seemed as fleeting as the last dying ember. These spectral images, grainy yet vivid, painted a tale of sudden devastation, a time when the relentless advance of the Xylar Dominion transformed vibrant cities into ghostly ruins. A montage of shattered streets and crumbling monuments unfolded before the eyes of a small group huddled in an underground chamber. In these flickering scenes, explosions erupted with terrifying regularity, and desperate voices echoed over panicked broadcasts. The familiar hum of life was replaced by the clamor of chaos. The once proud civilization now lay broken, its spirit fractured under the weight of an enemy that spared no mercy. Amid the swirling smoke and debris, families were torn apart, and the brave fought a battle that quickly turned into a desperate struggle for survival. In the midst of the chaos stood a figure whose presence was both chilling and commanding. Overlord Kale Zyrak, the relentless architect of the Dominion's conquest, appeared on every screen, a cold, calculating visage amidst the carnage. His steely eyes surveyed the ruined planet with a dispassionate air of superiority, as if the destruction he wrought were nothing more than an inevitable consequence of natural order. His speeches, delivered in a tone as calm as it was ruthless, resonated like a death knell for humanity, instilling terror not only in the hearts of the fallen but also in the hearts of those who would eventually rise to challenge him. Even as the flashbacks unfolded, the scars of that day were not confined to memory alone. The subterranean refuges, with their maze-like corridors and hastily constructed shelters, still bore the marks of hurried repairs and the quiet desperation of survivors clinging to fragments of a once unified society. Every creaking beam and flickering light reminded them of the chaos that had shattered their world, a constant, unyielding echo of the invasion. In a quiet alcove far from the prying eyes of the new regime, an aged veteran, one of the few who had witnessed the horror firsthand, whispered his recollections to a small, rapt audience. His voice, though weathered by time and sorrow, carried the weight of undeniable truth. He spoke of the deafening roar of enemy vessels descending from the heavens, of the sky darkened by their ominous silhouettes, and of the terror that gripped every heart as the first shots rang out. His words, laden with both regret and a fierce defiance, served as a grim reminder. The cost of freedom had been steep, and the specter of loss would forever haunt those who survived. As the holograms faded into darkness, the silence that followed was profound, a silent promise that the echoes of the invasion would not be forgotten. They were not merely relics of a tragic past, but also powerful motivators for the resistance that now burned in hidden corners of the world. Even as the Dominion's tyrannical rule lingered in every ruined street and every shattered monument, the memories of that terrible day kindled a slow, steady flame of rebellion. A flame that one day might ignite a resurgence capable of challenging the very forces that had once brought the world to its knees. In the quiet heart of the orbital base, where the pulse of ancient machinery melded with the steady beat of determined hearts, a flickering holographic display illuminated a room filled with tension and hope. In a secluded communication bay, technicians and codebreakers huddled over arrays of data, their faces bathed in the cold glow of intercepted signals. Amid the static and scattered streams of alien language, one pattern began to emerge, a subtle cadence that hinted at complacency, a vulnerability in the enemy's unyielding facade. At the center of this makeshift nerve center stood Lieutenant Mara Reyes, a brilliant yet unassuming cryptographic expert whose fingers danced over the holographic interface. With each keystroke, she peeled back layers of the cryptic transmission, her eyes widening as she uncovered fragments of communication that betrayed overconfidence. "Captain Mercer," she murmured, barely able to contain her excitement. "These messages, they're not commands of conquest. They're almost routine, as if the Dominion has already set their course for victory." Her voice, both cautious and exhilarated, carried across the room, igniting a spark of hope among her fellow operatives. Elsewhere, in a dimly lit storage chamber of the base, an unlikely treasure had been discovered, a salvaged piece of alien technology, half buried beneath layers of debris and dust. The artifact pulsed faintly with an eerie blue light, its surface etched with inscrutable symbols that hinted at power far beyond Earth's current capabilities. Dr. Adrian Cole, the base's leading xenotechnologist, carefully cradled the relic as if it were a sacred relic. "This might be the key," he whispered, reverence lacing his tone. "If we can unlock its secrets, we may gain insights into their strategies or even turn their own weapons against them." The breakthrough was too significant to be confined to the isolated corners of technical rooms. Captain Elena Mercer, informed by both Lieutenant Reyes's discovery and Dr. Cole's findings, summoned her senior officers to a strategic meeting in the command hall. The room was stark, its metal walls echoing with the weight of history and the promise of a renewed fight. Maps of fractured Earth, holographic star charts, and streams of intercepted data filled the space, forming a digital tapestry of both past anguish and future possibility. Standing at the head of the table, Mercer's eyes glowed with a mix of steely resolve and quiet passion. "We have been hiding in the shadows for too long," she began, her voice steady and resolute. "The Dominion believes our defeat is final. They are blinded by their arrogance, and in that blindness, they have given us the chance to strike back. Lieutenant Reyes, explain what you've found." Reyes stepped forward, her tone measured but urgent. "Captain, our intercepts show gaps in their command structure, routine transmissions that suggest they are not expecting any form of organized resistance. This is our window, a crack in their armor that we can widen. And combined with Dr. Cole's artifact, we may just have the edge we need." A murmur of cautious optimism rippled through the assembled officers. Dr. Cole added softly, "This relic, it's as if it holds a memory of their technology. It might be our guide, our beacon in this darkness." His words resonated in the charged silence that followed, punctuated only by the distant hum of machinery and the rhythmic beeping of sensors. In that moment, the base transformed from a somber shelter into a crucible of renewed determination. The intercepted transmission and the enigmatic artifact were not just anomalies. They were signals of a potential resurgence, a promise that even in the darkest hours, a beacon of hope could shine through. With each shared glance and every nod of agreement, the room became a silent pact, to reclaim their destiny, to rewrite the story of defeat into one of defiant triumph. Captain Mercer closed her eyes for a heartbeat, drawing strength from the collective resolve that filled the room. "We will prepare for the counteroffensive," she declared, her voice firm and unwavering. "Our enemy's complacency is our advantage. We will gather our forces, study this relic, and find the chink in their armor. Today, in the midst of darkness, we have found our beacon." As the meeting dispersed into fervent discussions and plans, the flickering lights of the base seemed to burn a little brighter, echoing the newfound hope that had taken root. In that charged atmosphere, every whispered strategy and determined gaze bore witness to a simple, powerful truth. Even in a world shrouded by ruin, hope could rise, and with it, the promise of redemption. Captain Mercer's resolve crystallized as she embarked on a mission that would redefine the fate of humanity. In a secluded hangar hidden deep beneath the orbital base, the very heart of Earth's remaining star fleet pulsed with latent energy. Here, battered ships from forgotten battles and stealth vessels built in secret lay dormant, waiting for the moment their purpose would be rekindled. The cavernous space, its walls etched with the scars of past struggles, buzzed with the quiet determination of crews who had long endured exile and loss. Under the subdued glow of emergency lighting, Mercer stood before an assembly of hardened officers and seasoned pilots, their eyes reflecting the flicker of hope against a backdrop of despair. "Today," she began, her voice a blend of iron will and compassionate urgency, "we unite not as remnants of defeat, but as the architects of our resurgence." Her words, precise and resonant, cut through the lingering silence and set hearts ablaze with a renewed sense of purpose. In the days that followed, a flurry of clandestine meetings unfolded across hidden outposts and forgotten safe havens. Mercer, traveling between these secret enclaves, met with leaders of disparate survivor factions, engineers from the underground sanctuaries, rogue pilots who had evaded enemy patrols, and even renegade scientists who dared to dream of reclaiming lost technology. In dimly lit briefing rooms, illuminated by holographic maps and star charts, delicate negotiations took place. Trust was a currency in short supply, yet every word, every handshake, was a vital thread woven into the fabric of a united resistance. Amid the intricate choreography of diplomacy and strategy, personal sacrifices were made. In one private conversation, a grizzled veteran with eyes that had seen too many battles confided his fear of betrayal, only to be met with Mercer's steadfast reassurance. "I know the cost," she said softly, the weight of past losses evident in her gaze, "but every sacrifice is a step toward reclaiming our future. We are not defined by the scars we bear, but by the courage with which we fight to heal them." Her words transformed trepidation into a fierce commitment that radiated through every member of the fleet. As plans solidified, technicians worked feverishly to integrate diverse systems from ships of different origins. Under Mercer's supervision, engineers from rival factions collaborated in a symphony of innovation and resilience, melding legacy technology with salvaged alien components in an unprecedented act of defiance. The assembly of the fleet was more than a military maneuver. It was a testament to human ingenuity in the face of overwhelming adversity. Late one evening, as starlight streamed through the portholes of the command center, Captain Mercer surveyed the assembled fleet through a vast viewport. The silhouettes of spacecraft, each a symbol of resistance, floated against the infinite canvas of space. In that quiet, transcendent moment, the enormity of what they were about to undertake crystallized in her mind. With every vessel readying for a mission fraught with danger and hope, the disparate souls of Earth coalesced into a single, resolute force. The stage was set, the fleet assembled, a constellation of defiant lights poised to challenge an enemy that had once believed Earth to be vanquished. And as Mercer's steady gaze swept across her newly united forces, a silent promise echoed among them. No matter the odds, they would rise together to reclaim the future. In the silent depths of space, the scout vessel glided like a phantom, its sleek form barely disturbing the inky void. Inside, a small team of intrepid explorers prepared to venture into enemy territory, a realm where the stars themselves seemed to whisper secrets of danger and hope. The air was thick with anticipation as each crew member steadied their nerves, fully aware that the success of their mission could tilt the scales in humanity's favor. The vessel's interior was a study in focused calm. Dim, pulsating lights cast soft shadows across faces etched with both determination and apprehension. Lieutenant Mara Reyes, her eyes reflecting the glimmer of distant galaxies on the vessel's polished consoles, double-checked every system. "All readings are clear," she murmured, her voice a mix of excitement and caution. "We're entering the fringe. Stay sharp and follow protocol." Her words, though few, resonated deeply with every soul on board. As the ship neared the enemy's domain, the tension in the control room mounted. Through the panoramic viewport, the crew could see the ghostly outline of an alien outpost, a labyrinth of structures and energy fields, pulsating with an eerie, otherworldly glow. It was a silent sentinel on the edge of the Dominion's territory, a beacon that held the key to vulnerabilities they had long sought. Every flicker on the sensor arrays was a heartbeat in the vast silence, each one a reminder of the peril that lay ahead. The mission was clear: penetrate deep into enemy territory, gather critical intelligence on Dominion communications, and, if possible, secure a data cache from an abandoned relay station. As the vessel edged closer to the outpost, the soft hum of the engines and the rhythmic beeps of instrumentation became a counterpoint to the racing hearts of the team. Commander Isaiah Reed, a veteran of many covert operations, broke the silence. "Remember, we're not here to engage. Our eyes and ears are our weapons." His calm authority infused the room with a fragile confidence that steadied their resolve. In the cockpit, as the navigator charted a course through treacherous corridors of space, every moment felt like an eternity. The vessel slipped past sensor barriers and deceptive cloaking fields, its movements as graceful as a dancer in a perilous ballet. With each calculated maneuver, the team edged deeper into the unknown, their senses heightened to every subtle vibration and whisper of the ship's structure. The universe, vast and indifferent, bore silent witness to their daring incursion. Suddenly, on one of the central displays, a series of coded signals pulsed like a heartbeat. Lieutenant Reyes' fingers flew over the controls as she decrypted the messages in real time. The data revealed patterns, small fissures in the Dominion's seemingly impregnable defenses. This was the breakthrough they had been hoping for, a glimmer of strategic vulnerability that could be exploited to turn the tide of war. In that charged moment, the significance of their mission crystallized. Every risk, every calculated step into the enemy's lair, was now justified by the promise of hope, a hope that could rekindle the fire of human resilience. As the scouts gathered the vital intelligence, the vessel began its careful retreat, navigating back through the silent corridors of space with the same precision and resolve. The data, shimmering on the screens, was not just numbers and codes. It was a lifeline, a message that whispered of the Dominion's overconfidence and the potential for a decisive counterstrike. In the aftermath of the mission, as the vessel rejoined the main fleet, the quiet hum of the engines carried with it the weight of both achievement and the lingering uncertainty of what lay ahead. The journey into the unknown had reaffirmed a simple truth. In the vast, dark tapestry of space, even the smallest spark of intelligence could illuminate the path to a future where humanity might rise again. The calm of coordinated movement shattered in an instant. Just as the human fleet began to tighten its formation in preparation for the planned counteroffensive, an unseen enemy moved like a phantom through the void. At the command center aboard the flagship, alarms blared and sensor screens erupted with frantic warnings. Incoming from the starboard flank, multiple hostiles detected. Commander Isaiah Reed's voice rang out, steady but laced with urgency. The display before him revealed a swarm of enemy vessels emerging from a cloak of darkness, their silhouettes sharp against the backdrop of distant stars. In an instant, the serene vastness of space transformed into a theater of chaos. Energy beams seared through the void, their brilliant flashes ricocheting off the hulls of human ships. Explosions rippled across the fleet like violent, unbidden tempests. Inside the corridors of the flagship, Captain Elena Mercer clenched her jaw as she absorbed the grim reality unfolding before her. "Shields up. Brace for impact," she commanded over the intercom, her voice unwavering despite the rising storm of battle. Across the network, panicked murmurs intermingled with crisp, rapid orders. Crew members scrambled to their stations, while officers furiously recalibrated defensive matrices. Within the heart of the fray, the ambush was as sudden as it was ruthless. A barrage of precision strikes tore through the enemy formation, their origins hidden by the Dominion's mastery of deception. Overlord Kale Zyrak's strategy had been as cunning as it was brutal, a calculated move to fracture the human fleet's unity. The enemy exploited every gap, every hesitation, sending shockwaves of devastation through the formation. In the midst of the assault, a young pilot shouted, "Captain, our left wing is taking heavy fire." The warning sliced through the chaos like a clarion call. Mercer's mind raced, piecing together fragmented information as she coordinated a desperate countermeasure. "Divert power to the starboard shields and deploy evasive maneuvers," she ordered, her tone calm yet commanding amid the tumult. Inside the command center, every heartbeat pulsed with the rhythm of survival. The holographic star charts danced with erratic data points, and every officer became a vital cog in a rapidly shifting battle. The room was a mosaic of flickering lights, holographic displays, and faces hardened by years of conflict and loss. Yet even as panic threatened to overwhelm, Mercer's presence anchored them all, her steady gaze a beacon in the maelstrom. Outside, the stark ballet of battle unfolded with merciless intensity. Splintered debris drifted through space like silent requiems for lost souls. The ambush, designed to sow chaos and crush morale, succeeded in its carnage, but it also ignited a fire within the hearts of the beleaguered defenders. Despite mounting casualties and the desperate scramble for tactical advantage, every soul in the fleet clung to the conviction that this setback was but a precursor to a greater, determined resurgence. As the enemy's barrage began to ebb, the battered human vessels gathered what remained of their strength. The ambush had cost them dearly, yet it had also sharpened their focus. Amid the ringing silence that followed the furious storm, Captain Mercer's voice emerged once more, resolute and inspiring. "We have been tested and found wanting, but not defeated. Regroup, tend to our wounded, and prepare for our counterstrike." Today, they sought to break us, but our resolve remains unshaken. In that charged moment, as wounded crews mended their losses and strategists recalibrated under the haunting glow of distant fires, the seeds of determination took root. The ambush had sown scars across the fleet, but it had also fused disparate forces into a single, unyielding front against an enemy that dared to believe victory was within their grasp. In the aftermath of the ambush, silence fell over the battered fleet like a heavy shroud. The flickering glow of emergency lights cast long, uncertain shadows along the corridors of the flagship, where each wounded soul bore the weight of recent loss. Amid the lingering echoes of chaos, a quiet determination began to blossom, a resolve forged in pain and tempered by the unyielding desire to reclaim a future for humanity. Inside the command center, Captain Elena Mercer stood before a vast, holographic map detailing the skirmishes of the day. The display pulsed softly with residual data from the recent battle, each blinking point a reminder of the friends and comrades lost in the ferocity of the ambush. Around her, weary officers worked methodically, patching up damaged systems, consoling shaken crew members, and recalibrating strategies. In that charged atmosphere of quiet recovery, every act of repair became a small act of defiance against the tyranny of despair. Mercer's mind drifted back to the moments of the attack, flashes of energy, the roar of battle, and the anguished cries of those who fought valiantly. But amidst the grief, a deeper truth emerged. The soul of their resistance was not measured by the absence of wounds, but by the courage to heal and to fight on. Determined to embody that truth, she moved among her people with a quiet resolve, offering a steady hand and a few comforting words to those still trembling in the wake of shock. In a secluded alcove near the infirmary, Lieutenant Mara Reyes sat with a small group of pilots who had barely escaped the ambush unscathed. Their eyes, still reflecting the horror of battle, gradually softened as Mercer joined them. "We have all felt the sting of loss today," she began, her voice gentle yet firm, "but our strength lies in our unity. Each scar, each tear, is a testament to our survival and to the unbreakable spirit that binds us together." Her words, soft as a whisper yet resonant as a promise, began to mend the fragile threads of hope frayed by the day's events. Across the ship, the veteran engineer, Jonah Pierce, meticulously repaired a critical communications array. His weathered hands moved with practiced precision, each measured adjustment a defiant declaration against the silence that threatened to engulf them. "Every piece we fix, every system we bring back online," he murmured to a nearby crew member, "is a step toward our resurgence." His conviction echoed through the cavernous halls, a reminder that while the battle had scarred them, it had not extinguished the fire of resistance. As the day wore on, informal gatherings sprouted in the mess hall and common areas, where stories of bravery and loss were exchanged like treasured relics. In one such conversation, a young ensign recounted how a simple act of kindness amid chaos, sharing a meal or a reassuring glance, had rekindled his resolve to continue fighting. These shared moments, fragile yet fierce, were the heartbeat of the fleet. They were the living proof that even in the deepest wounds, compassion could heal, and from the shattered remnants of defeat, a new strength could emerge. Captain Mercer retreated briefly to her private quarters, a small, Spartan room adorned with faded photographs of a once vibrant family life. There, in the quiet solitude, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. In the soft hum of her personal sanctuary, her thoughts wove together the loss and hope, despair and determination. In that intimate silence, she vowed that the pain of today would be the catalyst for the resurgence of tomorrow. It was not merely the scars that defined them, but the indomitable will to rebuild and rise again. By the time the stars reclaimed their dominion over the void, the crew had found solace in their shared resilience. The emotional and physical wounds, though still raw, had ignited a collective spirit, a heartbeat that pulsed with renewed determination. The heart of the resistance was not a singular force, but a tapestry of individual courage interlaced with hope. And as the flagship prepared to sail into the uncertainty of the next battle, every member aboard knew that the essence of their fight was not measured by victories or losses, but by the unyielding strength that blossomed in the quiet moments after the storm. In the dim light of the command center, where determination burned brighter than the lingering embers of battle, Captain Mercer convened her senior officers once again. The recent ambush had left scars on both metal and spirit, yet it had also sharpened their resolve. Now was the time to channel that newfound unity into a daring plan, a full-scale counteroffensive designed to reclaim the advantage and rewrite the course of the war. The room buzzed with a tangible mix of tension and hope as holographic star charts and tactical diagrams shimmered in the air. Commander Isaiah Reed stood at Mercer's side, his steady gaze locked on the digital maps that outlined the Dominion's defensive grid. "We know where their vulnerabilities lie," he said, his voice resolute. "It's time we exploit every crack in their armor." His words, spoken with quiet authority, galvanized the assembly of battle-hardened officers who had seen too much loss to yield now. Mercer's eyes swept across the gathered faces, each one etched with determination, each one bearing the weight of countless sacrifices. With a measured breath, she began outlining her plan. "We rally our forces not merely to fight, but to strike decisively. Our next move must be swift, calculated, and bold. We will mobilize our entire fleet, using the element of surprise to shatter the enemy's overconfidence." Her voice, unwavering and impassioned, resonated against the metallic walls, each syllable reinforcing the idea that their struggle was far from over. In one corner of the room, a cluster of tactical officers debated the optimal formation for the counterstrike. The dialogue was sharp and precise, each officer contributing insights born of both experience and necessity. "If we align our wings in a pincer maneuver, we can target their central command node," proposed one officer, his fingers deftly manipulating the holographic display. Another countered, "But we must account for their anti-missile arrays. A diversion will be essential to mask our true trajectory." The spirited exchange reflected not only the urgency of their mission but also the intricate ballet of strategy that defined their resistance. Outside the command center, preparations were in full swing. Across the sprawling network of hidden shipyards and refurbished hangars, crews worked in near synchrony, each task a vital thread in the tapestry of their resurgence. Engineers integrated salvaged alien technology with human design, crafting enhancements that pulsed with a blend of ingenuity and defiance. Pilots, their faces set with determination, conducted final checks on their vessels, their eyes reflecting both the weight of history and the brightness of a future they were ready to forge. In a quiet corridor away from the frenzy, Captain Mercer took a moment to confer privately with her closest advisors. The soft hum of the base's machinery provided a counterpoint to their intense deliberations. "We're not just fighting for territory," Mercer said softly, her gaze intense. "We're fighting for every life that believes in a future beyond tyranny. Every sacrifice has led us to this moment. Let's make sure our next move reflects the heart of our resistance." Her words, a solemn pledge and a fierce command, rekindled the embers of courage in each listener. As the plan solidified and the fleet readied for launch, the air was thick with anticipation. Every light in the command center flickered with renewed purpose, and the silent promise of retribution echoed in every whispered coordinate and every determined nod. The assembled forces, now united by a singular vision of hope and resurgence, stood ready to defy the odds and strike back at an enemy that had long underestimated the indomitable human spirit. In that charged moment, as the fleet surged to life and the engines hummed a defiant melody against the backdrop of space, the stage was set. The next phase of their struggle was not one of retreat or submission, it was a bold, unyielding march toward victory. And with every heart beating in synchrony, the forces of humanity prepared to unleash a counterstrike that would reverberate through the cosmos, heralding a new chapter in the fight for freedom. Amid the infinite tapestry of the cosmos, the human fleet surged forward like a burst of defiant light against an encroaching darkness. Engines roared to life as vessels, honed by countless battles and bound by an unbreakable spirit, formed a determined phalanx. At the helm, Captain Elena Mercer stood resolute, her gaze fixed on the looming silhouette of the Dominion's flagship, a monstrous beacon of alien supremacy that had long instilled fear. In the charged silence preceding the storm, every crew member felt the weight of destiny pressing upon them. Then, with a surge that shattered the stillness, the battle erupted. The human armada darted through the void, launching a calculated barrage of energy missiles and plasma beams. The starry expanse became a dazzling, chaotic arena where streaks of light danced in deadly arcs. Explosions rippled along enemy hulls as the Dominion's formation buckled under the relentless human assault. Amid the clamor, every maneuver carried the desperate hope of a people determined to reclaim their world. Within the heart of the Dominion flagship, Overlord Kale Zyrak observed the unfolding chaos with cold, calculating eyes. His confidence, once unassailable, now wavered as his tactical grid faltered before the ingenuity of the human counterattack. A direct channel flickered to life, a holographic window into the minds of two adversaries locked in a duel of wills. On one side, Mercer's face was set in unwavering determination. On the other, Zyrak's features twisted in a blend of disdain and growing apprehension. "Your struggle ends here, human," Zyrak intoned, his voice echoing with condescension and the certainty of his perceived victory. "Your defiance is but a fleeting ember destined to be snuffed out by the inevitable might of the Dominion." Mercer's reply was measured and fierce, resonating with the collective resolve of her people. "This is not the end, it is the rebirth of our spirit. Every life lost, every sacrifice made, has forged our path to this moment. Today, we reclaim our destiny and shatter the tyranny that dares to define us." Her words rang out like a clarion call, infusing the fleet with renewed vigor. With a precision born of both desperation and hope, the flagship veered from formation, its course set directly for the enemy's command nexus. The ensuing exchange was a ballet of calculated risks. Energy shields flared, countermeasures deployed, and evasive maneuvers interwove in a complex tapestry of tactical brilliance. Each human pilot, guided by Mercer's unwavering command, executed maneuvers that defied the seeming chaos, a dance that blurred the line between survival and victory. The Dominion's defenses, once a seamless barrier of arrogance and technology, began to falter under the concentrated human assault. A final, decisive order sliced through the tumult: concentrate all firepower on the heart of the enemy vessel. In that fleeting, heartbeat-long moment, the human fleet unleashed a torrent of missiles, their impact a brilliant cascade of light and fury. The Dominion flagship shuddered violently, its massive hull cracking as a blinding explosion tore through its core. Shockwaves rippled outward, scattering enemy debris like so many shattered dreams against the endless black. For an instant, time seemed to hold its breath. Then, as the debris of the fallen enemy drifted silently into the void, a profound stillness settled, a pregnant pause filled with the promise of a new dawn. The clash among the stars had transformed into a turning point, a cataclysmic moment that marked the beginning of humanity's resurgence. Amid the fading echoes of battle, Captain Mercer allowed herself a brief, reflective gaze into the star-strewn horizon, where hope now burned brighter than ever. In that luminous, fragile silence, the battlefield became a testament to the unyielding spirit of those who refused to be subdued. The Dominion's arrogance had met its match in the unity and relentless determination of the human soul. And as the fleet pressed forward, leaving behind the wreckage of an empire's pride, every heart on board knew that the war was far from over, but that victory, forged in the crucible of defiance, was finally within reach. In the hushed aftermath of battle, as the remnants of shattered enemy vessels drifted silently through the void, a tentative calm settled over the human fleet. The silence, heavy with both grief and promise, was punctuated only by the soft hum of engines and the distant murmur of repair crews tending to their wounded ships. Amid the debris and echoes of conflict, hope emerged, a fragile yet unmistakable sign that humanity's defiance had begun to reshape its destiny. Captain Elena Mercer stood at the expansive viewport of the flagship, her eyes tracing the scattered fragments of the Dominion's might against a backdrop of starlit infinity. The remnants of the enemy's flagship lay in silent ruin, its once formidable presence reduced to drifting wreckage, a testament to the bold counterstrike that had shattered the Dominion's arrogance. In that moment, the vastness of space seemed to cradle both sorrow and renewal, a dual reminder of the price paid for freedom and the promise of rebirth. Inside the command center, the mood was one of solemn determination. Officers, still marked by the day's fierce clashes, gathered around holographic displays that now charted a new, hopeful course. Mercer's voice, steady and imbued with both the weight of loss and the strength of resolve, broke the silence. "Today, we witness the power of our unity and the valor of our people. Though we have borne great scars, let them be the foundation upon which we rebuild. Our victory is not complete, but it heralds the dawn of a new era, a future where our resilience will guide us to lasting peace." Across the fleet, makeshift field hospitals and repair stations sprang to life. In corridors lit by the soft glow of emergency beacons, crews moved with a deliberate grace, their efforts imbued with a quiet determination to mend both metal and spirit. Stories of heroism and sacrifice wove through the ranks, a pilot's daring maneuver, an engineer's ingenuity in repurposing alien technology, a medic's tireless care in the midst of chaos. Each narrative, whispered in the lull between orders and strategy, became a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Amid these acts of recovery, A symbolic ceremony unfolded on the flagship's main deck. Under the warm, simulated glow of an artificial sunrise, crafted to evoke the promise of a new day, survivors gathered to witness the hoisting of a newly forged flag. Its emblem, a confluence of old symbols and new ideals, fluttered against the backdrop of the infinite cosmos. In that solemn moment, the flag was more than a banner. It was a beacon of hope, a pledge that every sacrifice would be honored in the march toward a brighter future. Later, in a quiet alcove away from the bustle of recovery, Captain Mercer and her closest advisors pored over the latest intelligence. The Dominion, though reeling from defeat, had retreated into the shadows, a tactical withdrawal that left lingering uncertainties. "We have won a battle today," Mercer remarked, her voice measured yet resolute, "but we must remain vigilant. Our enemy's ambition is not so easily extinguished. Let this victory be the spark that ignites our determination to rebuild and secure a future where peace is more than a fleeting dream." Her words, imbued with both caution and unwavering hope, resonated deeply among those who had borne the brunt of the struggle. As the artificial twilight gave way to a gentle, starlit night, the fleet settled into a rhythm of recovery and reflection. In quiet corners of the flagship, crew members exchanged whispered confidences about lost friends and future plans. A sense of unity and purpose began to override the shadows of despair. Each repaired circuit, each mended hull, was a silent vow that the spirit of resistance would persist, even in the face of lingering adversity. In the final moments of that day, Captain Mercer once again stood upon the observation deck. The cosmos stretched out before her, a boundless expanse of possibility, painted with the light of countless stars. The scene was serene yet potent, a living reminder that every end carries the seed of a new beginning. With a deep, steady breath, she absorbed the quiet majesty of the universe and allowed herself a rare, reflective smile. In that moment, the weight of past battles mingled with the hope of tomorrow, forging a promise that the sacrifices made would not be in vain. The human fleet, battered yet unbowed, stood poised at the threshold of a new era. In the silent communion of those who had endured and those who still dared to dream, a single, resonant truth emerged. From the ashes of devastation, the dawn of a hopeful future was rising. With hearts steeled by loss and eyes fixed on the horizon, humanity prepared to step boldly into the unknown, a future defined not by the scars of yesterday, but by the promise of renewal.